Writing a story is pretty easy actually. The reason why you feel it's difficult is because you start from scratch every single time without learning whatever you did previously. If you don't know what I'm saying and you've never written a story in your life, then it's probably one of the reasons, because as I told you earlier, writing is not that difficult. And if you watch this video, I'll show you how to actually write good stories that actually stick with the audience, stick with people's mind. If you don't know me, my name is Rahul and I've made 4 short films on this channel, and I've made countless scripts. I've written countless stories, 10 to 15 stories growing up. I've made short films, I've made animations, and I mean, this is what I do, man, since I was a kid. And after experimenting, after doing it multiple times, I found a simple method to actually write good stories without thinking about anything else. Because there's really like only 5 things that you should actually care about, and I need your full undivided attention for this video. When I was first starting out, like legitimately actually wanting to write actual stories, I thought to myself I should probably get some education online and just learn how other people actually do it. Then I went on YouTube like everyone else, like you probably did, and I searched in how to write a good story, what are the story structures, how to write a compelling story. So, what I found was there's a lot of information online, and every one of them either aligns to one in itself or either conflicts. As a beginner, as I was starting out, I felt too anxious about it, too confused. Like every single one of them were saying, use this structure, use hero's journey, use 3 act structure, use whatever story circle. Is there a single way to actually write a good story? I mean, there are countless structures. Some of them had 5 stages in it, some of them had 8 stages in it, and I actually didn't know what I should pick and what I should actually, you know, how do I just want to make my own story, man. I don't want none of this bullshit. And after experimenting, after writing multiple stories, making short films, making animation, making award-winning short films, I realized the fact that a lot of people online were just overcomplicating things. Because writing a story is really not that difficult, man. They're just trying to be smarter than you. They're just trying to portray themselves as this higher being that they know this skill of storytelling that a normal person couldn't comprehend, couldn't actually understand, and should spend years to actually learn it. And they make it this weird big thing that it's impossible to reach it. And even worse, it's all just theory that they've read online or read in a book. Some other director wrote it, some other director told it, and they're just saying that on YouTube, like I'm doing right now. But difference is I'm actually going to give you actionable steps starting now. See, the 5 steps that I told you that are necessary to writing a good story is: a character wants something. What happens if he doesn't get it? Something gets in his way. What does he do or lose in order to deal with it? And in the end, does he get what he wants or does he not? That's basically it. Now let's dive deeper on what all these 5 steps actually mean. Step 1: character wants something. It's obvious. If the character doesn't have a goal, a certain desire in your story, then obvious the viewer, the reader wouldn't even care. The story wouldn't be interesting, because what's the point of doing something if you don't want something, right? See, in my own short film, B1, the one, here it is, the one that won the award, the whole premise was a guy who was trapped inside an elevator. But before he was trapped, he wanted to go on a date. That's it. That's all he wanted. But after he gets trapped, now he wants to get out of that loop, out of that paradox. That's basically it. A character wants something. He wants freedom. He wants to get on his date. That's it. That's all you need to do. First step, done. Now, second step, what happens if he doesn't get it? What happens if he doesn't get what he wants? In my short film, the character, Alex, which is played by me, of course, and what happens is he wants to go on a date. If he misses it, he might not get another chance. I mean, the story doesn't go in that direction, but the actual premise is he gets trapped in the time paradox, and if he doesn't get out of it, he's trapped in there forever, in this infinite loop, and multiple versions of himself just keep spawning again and again for eternity. And that's the stakes of the character. See, in your story, you should have a stake. I mean, it's all cool and all if your character wants something, but what happens if he doesn't get it? Like, why does he want it so badly? You feel me? A really good analogy is, imagine you're just hanging down the cliff. You want to get on top of the cliff in order to not fall, right? But no one would ask you this. Why would you want to get on top of the cliff while you're just hanging for your death, for your life? If you don't just climb up and get on top, you would die. So you would die if you don't get what you want, which is to live. I mean, get it right. You get the analogy. So there should be desire and stakes. That's it. That's the step 2. And step 3, something gets in his way. Now, in my short film, as I told you earlier, he gets trapped inside the time paradox and now he wants to get out. Now, what does he find in his way? The time paradox itself. That is the enemy. And multiple conflicted versions of himself. He needs to figure out a way in order for the timeline to not be fucked up, but still he needs to get out of this paradox. He needs to figure out what is happening, and that's the biggest issue of them all. He needs to find out how this paradox is breakable, how to get out of it, and that's it. That's his. What was the third step again? Something gets in his way. The paradox gets in his way. For your story, it could be an antagonist or a friend who keeps letting the protagonist down, or something which delays the progress, which restricts the progress, which damages the progress. If this obstacle isn't there, then it would be easy for the character to achieve what he wants. But that's a boring story, right? You need to have some resistance. So that's the step 3. And step 4, what does the character do? What does he lose in order to deal with that something that gets in his way? In my short film B1, he spends a lot of time stuck inside that loop, and he figures out what to actually do in order to get out of the loop, and at last he finally settles down on this thought of killing every single one of his clones, even if it means that he will be trapped in there forever, because he doesn't know if his plan is going to work, but he still does it anyway because he's at the point of not wanting to be inside the loop anymore. So he picks up his gun and shoots all of his versions one by one. But you might ask me, Rahul, what does it mean to actually lose in order to deal with that something? Like, should he lose every single time? Is it necessary to lose? I mean, to that I might say, you're not wrong. But it makes much more interesting story if the character had something to lose in order to gain. In my short film B1, what he loses is his sense of self, the sanity. Being stuck in there in that time loop changed his perception of reality so much that he becomes cold and ruthless by the end. And that's the price to pay. See, a really good analogy is in a boxing ring, when your opponent is hitting you, you need to take some shots. You need to be damaged. You wouldn't just win the fight with just one clean knockout, right? So that's the price to pay. That's something he needs to lose in order to deal with that thing that's obstructing his way for his goal. So that's the step 4. And step 5 is the final one, whether he gets the thing that he wanted or not. And that's up to you. See, in B1, he gets what he wants. He breaks out of the loop, he gets what he wants, and the story ends there. If a story doesn't have a clear resolution and you're trying to be smart about it, make it ambiguous, make it unfinished just so that people would find more curiosity in your films, just don't do that. First, complete whatever you started. Then if you want to have some unanswered questions, maybe for a potential sequel or something, then you can try going in that route. But most of the time, try to come up with a resolution, whether your character achieves the thing that he wanted or not. And end your short film there, end your story there. That's it. If you follow this all 5 steps, then I'm damn sure that you have a compelling story right now. And if you keep doing this multiple times, then you wouldn't even have to think about all of these 5 steps, and it would just come to you naturally, like a second nature. It will be in your muscle memory. You'll instinctively understand what will work in your story and what doesn't, and you'll never have to watch these types of videos ever again about story structures and whatnot. And once you finish your story, and if you want feedback by me or some other people, you can just join my course and just post it there, man. There's a lot of people there who are like-minded like you and me, who are ruthless about filmmaking and wanting to get better. So you can just share it online in my community. It's currently free right now, but I'll soon start charging. So honestly, it's the biggest deal that you can ever take if you really want to get better and if you're serious about filmmaking. And it'll be the top link in the description, and just join it. I'll see you there.